Doing pretty good.
Awesome.
There.
Tell you what, I'm feeling pretty good about next time we sit down to play that D100 game because I have yet to have the command come out of my mouth for crafting. Okay, roll your damage dice, tally it up, and let me know what the hill giant takes. He failed miserably his saving throw. He tried to block the lightning bolt with Sylvia's body. Couldn't do it. And I guess maybe this is where I go. Hi, everyone. We're talking today about gaming. This is Kai's Musings for the 26th of July. And go. Kai, you look like you've had about a week of time.
Shut, computer.
What?
I know. I was trying. I closed the window. I started playing shit. And I'm like, no, shut.
I had the same experience just now.
No, I was trying to close down things so I wouldn't have them open. God damn it.
Sorry. Just had a brief flashback to a funny thought. Kai's over there shutting things down, and I've got the Punisher. No. Wait.
He's doing the meme.
Oh my dear Lord! It's been a week. We lost some people that I fucking loved, man.
Makes you feel old.
Yeah.
So, Kai, discussing various things here. The main thing I want to ask you about, like, you usually will run a table for like a season, right?
For a while, yes.
Okay. You do that weekly?
Might be on pause this school year, but yes.
So, when you're doing that sort of thing, you already got an idea for your backstory for the world as it is, and your players are usually pretty resilient, and they have an idea of exactly what they want to achieve with their characters. But they don't come at you with like a 20-page backstory. They don't try to give the game something that it doesn't need, which is their help at ruining the narrative. They usually look at what obstacles you put in their place, and they do their best to kind of organize a checklist and be like, okay, for us to succeed, we have to have these things happen. And they kind of go about doing that on their own without really a whole lot of goading from you, correct?
Mostly, yes.
Okay. You need a drink of water, sir? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because your throat started sounding parched. With us today is two of the players from my game. We got Six Nations and we have the Crafting Gamer.
Hello.
Both of these guys have had enough tabletop experience to where discussing theory, discussing those concepts that a lot of GMs start getting into in their journeyman years, they start to develop that. And as a player, I think it's equally important to where you can start formulating the things that want to make you go back to a table again and again. That's kind of where I wanted to start tonight's discussion. I don't quote unquote have an agenda per se, but I want to talk about like just keeping the people in the seats week after week after week. And I think that's really something that not a lot of game stations, a lot of channels talk about. If I'm wrong, let me know. Be more than happy. And Soy Base Jeremy, how you doing, bud? Do you guys have any disagreements or anything you want to add on what I said there? Please be more than happy to speak.
Crafting, if you want to go first.
I can't think of anything I directly want to say. I'm still a little out of it. My medication hasn't fully worn off yet.
Ah, that's understandable. Kai has had a wonderful week dealing with his various ailments.
Yeah. We're here. We're trying.
That's all anybody can ask for, man.
Yeah.
Adulting sucks.
Oh yeah.
That's all I got to say.
So the main crux I was getting at was like, you're going to be a GM and you're sitting at your GM table or in front of all your notes or just doing something, and inspiration strikes and you want to start plotting to where you can have a thread or you can have a game go for at least 5 or 6 sessions on just a smattering of an idea. And doing that, what you're really talking about is telling a story with your players involved and letting them add their own touches to each chapter being like just a session for 4 or 6 or 8 hours, whatever it may be. And that sounds kind of highfalutin, but I think it works out really well for how I plan my games, because I have an idea of where we're at, what we're going to do, and how I'm going to throw new curveballs to the players. Like with the things that we're doing in our game, the elves, there's a faction of elves that are really being proactive about setting forth their agenda and the things they're going to achieve. Taking a faction in play that typically does not see a whole lot of proactivity in the game, and putting it on players, we're like, hey, wait, this force is moving. What's going on? I find it very easy once I put some kinetics into play where the antagonists are dribbling their ball up the court and letting the players discover this, letting the players encounter various pieces of evidence that give them clues or give them an idea where to go. I think that's really important. And giving the players a chance to do the things that they want to do in the process or do those things, I think that's almost necessary. I might be wrong. I'm running a game that after every action, I fail at this, but I try to ask each player after their action, what are you doing next? So I can prepare how long it'll take for them to achieve that. And I don't like really having those actions get interrupted, although there are times where, like Janet tonight said, I'm going to cast this spell. Janet, that spell's ruined. You start casting it, and they just knock you asunder.
Right.
Not exactly the preferred way, but that's something that does happen. I mean, it happens in war games. It happens in everything. You know, you're gearing up to do something, and all of a sudden, like, that resource is gone.
Eh.
Or in our case, 2.5 smacks, and we're 0 hit points, bleeding
Yeah.
out.
Oh, and so base Jeremy, don't feel bad about the whole contact high story. I'm so high on my pain medication. When I seen Six Nations little avatar, I thought the hat was the sign for what the fuck? For South Park, and the ball was Cartman cussing.
Damn, crafting.
That's some good medication.
Yeah, that really is.
Now, I like the blue. It's a nice, cool, neutral, calming color. So I figured might as well do a little Big Trouble in Little China. Haven't done that in a while.
Kai, one of your that's one of your movies that kind of just takes you back, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I think we lost Ring months ago or something like that.
Yeah, I think we did.
I didn't realize how old he was until that happened.
I keep watching the movie and it's like, oh, it's 1986 all over again.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
yeah. Tell me about that. That was all this week, dude. All this week. Malcolm and Jamal Warner. Then
I found a
Julian.
Hulk Hogan tribute that I put in Gilded to the tune of Nine Inch Nails, but it was the Johnny Cash version, and I was watching it, and I was thinking, like, I remember that. I kind of lived that moment there. I remember hearing about that. Kind of skipped that generation where he was doing the Hollywood Hogan and whatnot, but yeah, it was surprising how hard his death hit me. He was a cultural icon, and outside of wrestling, he was trying to be a solid dude. Like, he was always helping people out, giving them advice and being uplifting, even though, like, he was going through his own shit.
It's hard to remain an impartial or uplifting person when you've got a disc jockey in your town that's trying to sleep with your wife.
Yeah. But I ended up seeing an interview where some podcaster was talking to people, and this one dude was just like bawling his eyes out because I guess Hulk Hogan saved this dude's daughter. She ended up getting real sick, and he saw him and called him over, and he's like, "Hey, can you say some encouraging words with my daughter?" And they basically walked the beach together for a couple of hours, and he was holding her hand and telling her everything was going to be okay. You just got to keep pushing, keep moving forward, do your best. And she ended up like getting better. The injury she sustained ended up healing proper and whatnot, and she had the motivation to move on. Where during the accident, so it was touching and heartbreaking to watch this dude talking about how that one moment, totally random dude comes to you, tells him, "Hey, we grew up watching you. My daughter's, she could really use some guidance, and I don't know how to word it." And he got her back on course. Yeah, anyways. It's been a rough week.
problem is, I, I think a part of it is that since we enjoy all these people as almost time capsules, and we listen to the music when they were recorded in the '70s or a movie that was from the '70s or '80s, we're seeing them then, and they live in our minds then because the Hogan that most of us know is the Hogan of the '80s. Because most of us probably clocked out
Hmm.
Hollywood Hogan in the WCW era, and we didn't see and most of us weren't watching during his later versions of Hogan, so we didn't see his various heel phases, and so we know him from his movie eras, from the cartoons, and from the '80s babyface, you know, face days where he's just the greatest person, the entire hero. Who he had an amazing run of great heels that made him look fantastic, and or all these actors that we
Yeah.
love that well we love them. When was the last time we really saw them act or exist? Well, in the '90s, right? 30 years ago. And I know I'm sorry if I'm sounding heartless or cold, but Bruce, you mentioned this in the end of your last of the stream just a few hours ago, where eventually death's coming for us all, and we're all going to meet him. And I'm like, they're in their 70s and 80s, guys. They're going to die. Everyone's going to die. I'm happy they made it this far. Some of them beat the average or the odds, and some of these people who've somehow managed to make it as far as they did with the amount of alcohol, drugs, and just harsh lives they've lived,
And
I'm surprised they made it this far, considering how many didn't, who lived those lives that were like, who lived his lives as hard as Hogan's, and they died sooner. And I mean, meeting Jake the Snake Roberts, he's not doing too well. I mean, he's
no,
doing well considering, but he's not doing that hot. But I'm going. I I really want to be like, yay, but I'm not yaying. I'm more going. It's going to happen. Maybe I've seen enough people die in my life that I'm not going to cry as hard as I should for somebody I've never met besides watching them through a TV screen or listening to them on the radio. I love them, but they're just people, and everyone dies. I hate to say it that way.
Uh, Soy based Jeremy. Best way to describe
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan in his prime. Oh, uh, the best way to
Go ahead.
describe Hulk Hogan in his prime is in modern day wrestling, you have acting. In his time, you have a show.
Right.
I would agree with that. You tuned on the WWF back in the '86, '87 era, and Hogan would pretty much pop his go pills or pain pills, whatever it was, and he would just get out there. And as soon as he felt the cameras on him, as soon as he heard the music introducing him, like you were treated to a display of human kineticism that really shouldn't be existing in a 35 or 40-year-old man. And he really didn't ever let his fans down.
No.
Uh, there were times where he did things because a script said, "Hey, we're gonna let Andre go out on a banger because he's not doing well. He's getting worse." And so they made Hogan kind of like an asshole when they were giving Andre his trophy in front of me with Mean Gene Okerlund. And Hogan came out, kind of was a dick, but Andre was at the end of his rope. We didn't know that. We knew he was a big guy. We didn't realize acromegaly was killing him. Us fans, we knew that there were things going on, but unless you were part of the inner circle, you didn't know that Andre the Giant was sucking down over 30 fucking Amstel lights, or a dozen bottles of wine, or whatever liquid relief he could find, just to calm down the nerve receptors that were screaming at him in pain. And so there was times where like Hogan wasn't performing like we thought a hero should. But I remember the build up to WrestleMania 3, which was probably my favorite era of professional wrestling. And WrestleMania 3 was a banger of a show because you had some really good matches. I think the third match of that show,
Yeah, it was.
Steamboat versus Macho Man. And Steamboat was able to recite the move list that him and Poffo were planning on doing. And he was still able to recall it years later when they're talking to him about that show. Kind of was a shocker to me. I wanted to believe it was all real. But what was real was the fact that these guys were paying a fucking mortgage and trying their best to live kind of like an outlaw life in Florida, of all places. I didn't realize how much Florida was so integral to the mindset that, hey, I'm going to do what the fuck I want. And it had that mindset in it for years. Me and Kai lived in fucking Central Illinois. We had no idea that they were able to do that. I'm the cream of the crop. Yeah.
It took years. It took years of discovering who Jim Cornette was as an actual person for me to start piecing together all the shit that I didn't know.
Yeah.
That guy, if you ever want to I understand what the hell is actually happening behind the scenes in the 80s and 90s and 70s in the lead up to Vince creating WWF as we knew it, and its rise to WWE as we now know it. This guy was at the heart of it during during Vince's father's days, through the 80s and into the 90s. And yeah, just look up, find it. Jim Cornette on YouTube. You'll find him, and he does a weekly podcast on wrestling. And it's he's just he's a fiery old man who was he is a fiery old man, but he's someone who will give you a nice look into all the shit that is wrestling. And yeah, it really is a show.
Talk about drama.
Oh, it is drama. Holy shit, is it drama?
Didn't realize that at the time.
That whole thing with Ricky Steamboat up until 88.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to spend time with his wife and his newborn kid. And then Vince McMahon's like, you're supposed to be the champion long term. So
fuck you.
He loses the title and ends up going to, what was it, WCW or something like that?
Yeah, at the time, yeah. Before it died.
I remember in the 80s, my grandparents had moved up to Elk Grove from San Jose. And my brother and I were like pretty much the only grandkids that visited them up there the couple of years that they were there. Supposed to be cheaper retirement. Turned out it wasn't. And we hated the drive because, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to sit in traffic and whatnot and go visit the grandparents. And that was kind of fun. Their next door neighbor was the cousin of Terry Hogan. He looked like the fat, retarded version of Hulk Hogan. He was a nice dude.
Sorry.
Like, I could imagine if he didn't make it in pro wrestling, that's what he would look like out in the civilian world. And it was so trippy. Had the mustache and everything.
The funny thing here about...
But he had nothing... I was just going to say he had nothing but... about Hulk Hogan. And
Oh yeah. I was gonna say the funny thing about all of this is that Bruce was saying, how do you get players to come back week after week after week? We're hitting on it. We're just using I Hogan and wrestling as an example rather than our games, because a lot of what we're talking about what the good era, the show that brought people to watch is that ability to sell something and to make that build up to what's going to happen. Sure, you got what amounts to all of your. Here's all the crap that you're gonna have to deal with before you get to the real event, the main event, the headliner. Like, you build up that headliner. You want, like, we know we're here to watch Hogan, but we're gonna have like 3 or 4 weeks of the build up, to go watch Hogan go fight somebody. Just fill in the blank. He had, like, his time being the face for WWF was years long, and he had some amazing people that he went against. We're players. Like, when we're GMing, we're the fucking show. We're the show producers. We're the ones setting up the shit. What you're going up against. We're setting up. Hey, do you want to go after the big guy? Like, hey, are you the top dog? Yeah, we want to. We're here to sell it to you. Like, you can choose to be the face. You can choose to be the heel. You can choose to be whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, hell, we've seen the. We saw the attitude era, the asshole era of wrestling, where, hey, do you want to go watch an asshole drive in with a semi truck with some beer cans, and his entire shtick is walk in, do 2 moves, and leave? Fuck yeah, we want to see that shit, kinda. Or do we want to watch a guy badly sell an elbow drop repeatedly because the other guy was a really damn good fucking guy? It's like, do you have one trick? Congratulations, you're Hogan. You can do one trick really fucking well. It's a really good trick, but it's one trick. But we're the GMs. Like, players, you need to be able to do one. Either you have a really good repertoire and you can play with others and you're amazing, or you do one trick and you can sell it well. As GMs, we have to fucking make every fight feel like it's going to be interesting. Make it feel good. So that way you want to sit through the undercard. So that way you get to the good fight. If everybody gets bored because you put boring Von Nobody against who gives a shit, well, they're going to turn off the fucking show. They're not going to watch anything. You're not going to put butts in the seats. Well, the thing is that, well, we can't have a headliner for every single match. That's WrestleMania. We don't want to fucking have WrestleMania every week. Well, technically, we would love that, but we don't have enough people to do WrestleMania every week. That's a once-a-year event. That's an end of a campaign. That's an end of a campaign arc right there. Badass fight, badass encounter, badass show. Thing that makes everybody feel awesome. Do we want to have a fight on top of a goddamn steel cage? Fuck yes, we do. I want to watch Undertaker and Mankind have a fight, and it's going to be brutal and bloody. And I want that. But do I want that every single match? Not really. But that's the thing. We're trying to sell this shit to our players. The players are the ones who are going to be there. They are our audience and the people who are participating. We have to make it enjoyable. We want the hooks to come back for the next. We want you to tune back in for Raw. We want you to tune back in every fucking week. I want you to be excited for the next match. I don't care if half my card is crap that nobody really wants to pay attention to, but I'm going to have cool interviews, cool role play segments, and shit to build up towards the next encounter. Sure, it may be boring, but every once in a while you got to have some guy pop out from under the ring and hit somebody with a steel chair. Who saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming, except for anybody who did. But no one cared. That was an awesome thing. But you can't have every single match have Here comes Ultimate Warrior running down from out. No, you can't have that. You can't have the lights go out every match and then suddenly, boom, oh God, it's Kane or The Undertaker. Or it can't always be some guy who was hiding under the ring. It can't always be Sting dropping down from the ceiling. You had to balance it. It's a show. You had to have some unpredictability, but it had to still be selling it. And yes, yes, it's odd that we're talking about wrestling and putting it to role playing because it's fucking entertainment. It's storytelling. It may be fake as fuck, kinda, not really, but it's fake as fuck. But it's still, it has the fundamentals of what we're supposed to be doing as GMs and as players. I mean, yes, sorry, rant over.
I appreciate that.
I was going to add in the of WWF when Andre wanted to
Oh yeah,
do the Princess Bride, and then also Japanese wrestling, which caused the whole masked bit in WWF. Anyhow,
yep.
And that's kind of where I am as a GM. I think the game is a show because I stream mine versus a lot of people, they just like hold it in their garage and it's just shared by 6 people physically there. Um, one, streaming it allows me to have a recording that I can look at later. Thank you, YouTube, for being a storehouse of terabytes of my hours. If I thank you for anything, it's that. That's why I wanted you. Um, Sorry that you don't like the gamer words, but that's a new thing you've gotten onto. But it is what it is. I'm not going to get too upset about that. Things do change. Uh, the game starts and it's the GM's show. The GM is the one that's supposed to get the players razzed up and involved, and they're inspire them to be proactive, inspire them to get into character and into it, and be invested with continuing something that they find completely interesting to them. And it's great to have gamers as your subject because they already know they want to show. They already know they want you to set up the pins so they can do their power attack with a two-handed weapon and swing and get a strike. Oh, look at all the goblins are dead. Ha! They want that. They want repeated challenge and they want repeated chances for success. Not every hit has to connect. I mean, you have the tension build on those misses. That's why I always lean on Andy. Come on, bud. It's okay. You don't have to tell me that every die you roll is a 17 plus on the D20. But there is the expectation that you're not going to get this easily handed to you. And that's the reason why I run the games I run. I like the challenge of being mathematical and getting the game to where the players look at how the field of battle is and they figure out if they can take it or if they need to scream kumquat. Like tonight's game, they heard everything in the forest go still. They knew something was up. No woodland animals are making any noise. There's something big around here. Shit, it is big. It's a hill giant. But the players are 7th level too, and reasonably, like in most situations, they should be able to have a good chance of running it off or making it even succumb to vast amounts of trauma damage. And the thing is that you
Honestly,
get
we went into that
that
battle with me thinking we were a little bit over our head. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm quite confident we couldn't outrun it, I would have said, let's not try taking this thing on.
that's
I
that's a
mean,
fair assessment.
literally, like
You gonna say something, Kai?
I get reduced to like 1/5 of my hit points in just like a handful of smacks.
Not even a handful of smacks. It was like
And,
2 1/4 smacks.
yeah, But that's what happens when you
Me and
fight over
Janet.
it.
Yeah.
I've got one. I know that we. I know there's the options of we set a challenge, and or I. What were the two options you gave? The challenge and the make it. But I also think there's also that option for if we choose to disengage, we should be allowed to have the chance to disengage. The oh shit, we're in over our heads, be able to find a way to dis disengage because if it's wrong word, I'm trying to find the right word for this, but break
Advance
contact,
in the opposite direction.
right? Run away in a way that doesn't make it feel like we're a bunch of cowards. That we ran away with dignity. Because if it's too obvious that we can't escape, it turns rapidly into oh god, we're all going to die because most of us are all programmed to have party wipe as our only options that we have. So
That's not my goal.
I know it's not your goal, but there's elements of our community where party wipe is not just a goal, but is an objective in the GM's on the GM side. So
Sadistic
Give me-
bastards.
giving that chance to be able to run away. Now, in your other game, having that certain player who has the ability to go kumquat all the time, and that's one way to do it. He uses it a lot. There's that one part of me that goes, couldn't you find a better way to disengage, to run away with dignity, rather than just simply everybody hug me, group hug time, kumquat, poof. That's what it feels like. It feels like a get out of hell free card, where it isn't just simply, oh shit, run away, break contact. Okay, everybody, now that we're all hiding behind rocks and sticks and in mud holes, and the bad guy is looking for us, now what's our plan? But I'm used to that one mostly because I
Do it the
yeah.
Lord of the Rings Hobbit method, where you cloak over your head and disguise yourself as a rock.
Yep. You learn on Earth. It's your friend. It will keep you safe. This is why everyone needs at least some ranks in sneak. God damn it!
I'm
Why?
a big proponent for that.
You are?
I'm a big proponent. Everybody needs at least one rank of stealth or something. You might have a negative 30 to your die roll, but
You're at least trained.
yeah.
Like must see
I gotta
skills,
go drink my water. I'll be right back.
and then they're like, "Hey, why don't you talk to this person?" And I'm thinking, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna flub this. No, I don't want to talk to him. I'm just gonna go look where nobody can see me."
Yep.
Besides, I
Burglar,
thought
don't
diplomacy was
burgle
kind
something.
of diplomacy. What my character was kind of built for. Not like, I don't mean it like Bruce was trying to build a character for me, but like right off the bat, diplomacy was one of my higher skills. It's like, I'm meant to be the talker. Got it. That once again, that
Become
sounded
the
like
box man.
Bruce built my character. I'm pretty sure Bruce did it
You got a box
organically. I just happened
Get
to pick
into a door to open.
that character.
Say again.
Sorry,
I
I didn't mean to talk
apologize.
over you, Six Nations.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just talking about the pre-made character. It's like Like I ended up with a whole bunch of diplomacy to begin with, so it's like unless you end up with a whole bunch of diplomacy, I don't think Lemmy was meant to be the talker anyway.
See, I didn't know what route you were going to go because I've never played with you before, and you've never really done quote unquote D&D. So I figured, if nothing else, having a wizard with options
Yeah,
would be preferable to a wizard that's lacking options.
that is true.
And I don't want to force you guys into, okay, guys, we're still 300 foot away. Stand back and let the wizard just cast and spam magic missile until the bad guy fall down and go dead. I don't want that.
Oh no, it's not just magic missile. It's super extra deluxe fireball with lightning bolt magic missile.
Patriot missile. Kaboom.
That's what it kind of feels like when the magic users start flinging spells in the high level campaign.
Everyone stands back and watches.
Yes, as they unleash these super omega powerful combos and things like that.
That's kind of like what Kai did when he ran for Table Breakers. 13th level characters, everybody. Bruce is like, can I run a wizard? That's the highest level wizard I've ever ran for 3 hours.
Nuclear launch detected.
Dear God, yes. The thing is that I've run a lot. I think a big chunk of what. Okay, yeah, a big chunk of what I did is that I've run a lot of high level games. It's not that I start them high level; it's that a lot of my games reach high level, where 13th to 17th level is about where most of my games stop. Because about 16th, 17th level is about when life eventually says to that group, we can't stay together any longer. Enough people drop out that it becomes start new game. And yeah, I do start them at a slightly more advanced level than 1, because if I know the chart is gone now, but it used to be on the old Discord. But it was the idea of what each level was in my book, what you were as you were playing these classes. I assume that most player characters are people who, if you're starting out, congratulations, you've exited your apprenticeship program. You're journeyman. Or you've made it past your advanced infantry training stage. You're now, congratulations, not an idiot, not fucking starter. You made it. I can and I have started at first level. I have done the let's go fight some squirrels or rats or a small tribe of goblins. And I've done the level 0, level 1 ninja campaigns. I've done the congratulations, you're fresh out of boot camp games. And that's great when I've got new players who've never played before and who don't know each other. Because you're putting them through a traumatic experience and you're trauma bonding them. And suddenly egos get smashed because, I think I'm invincible, and then the first goblin beats the shit out of them. And then they learn. But after a while, with the original with my original gaming group, we stopped needing that trauma bonding. We were already a group. We were already a team. We already knew each other. We knew that one player was going to always play the big brawny dude. That was his job. That was his thing. Except for that one time he didn't. And
what happened there?
He played a druid. He played a scary druid. What was that?
Did all hell break loose?
Oh dear God, he played a druid because everybody was everybody made a comment of he's always constantly playing the big fighter, and he was the big fighter. He was like he's your guts. He is your guy who walks in with a sword and then chops buildings in half because he built himself to be the two-handed power attacking god swinger.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask, is he anime destroys everything as he walks into the building, or the one that walks in and walks out, then the building just falls down?
Oh no, he walks in, then the whole building explodes
Okay, yeah, one of those.
because he's cleaving. He's cleaving, and then he's declaring that some of the shit he's done is like, hey, by the rules, does this work? I go, no. Can I do it for cool factor? I'm like, what do you mean? Okay, so I'm gonna hit this goblin, cleave through. I have great cleaves. I'm gonna cleave the goblin, cleave the pillar next to him, and then cleave into the goblin next to the pillar. I'm like, you're gonna drop half the building on him. I know, but I plan on dropping that half the building on the rest of the goblins. Okay. Go cleave. Go
Basically,
cleave.
Gru
And I'm like,
the Wanderer.
yeah.
Oh my God, we have a Gru the reference. Gru
Yes.
reference. Oh my God.
No, but when he played a druid, he was the master of I fly in as Tweety Bird, fly up on a branch, turn into my human form. Nobody's looking for me because I'm a bird, and no one has a clue that I'm actually in the tree. And then I'm going to just nuke strike whoever the fuck I is my target, and then I would turn back into a Tweety Bird and fly off before the guards are looking for a sparrow. And I'm like, wait, what? And like, well, they're looking for birds now. And then he's like, I turn into a gopher. I burrow in. I'm a gopher. I'm in the shadows. I appear. I nuke somebody. I'm a gopher. I leave through my tunnel. and because
Player that's like new to D&D, the brief description of druid, they see some picture of some hippie dude hanging out in the woods with other hippie dudes. It's totally opposite of what they're portraying in the freaking manual.
At one point he was so he had a fire like he just summoned fire elementals to just carry him around. Like he's just like I am a master of the elements. I will just travel by fire elemental. Screw everybody else. I'm like, what? And he's like, I don't care. Because the thing was, I was playing a steampunk techno magical world, and he was like, I hate this world. This world is destroying nature. I will destroy this world. And that was his campaign character. And that was the campaign where I'm like, you're the villain of the campaign, right? Like, he just, no, I'm just choosing to be the villain. It's like, all your villains are villains because you chose them to be villains. I'm choosing to be the villain of your world because I think this world needs a villain. and the rest of the party, we love our druid. Our druid is terrifying. Our druid will sit there and sneak in as a mouse and then cast heat metal on the guy who's in heavy armor, who we want to, strip so we can kill him faster. And he's like, I can do that. And everyone goes, we don't want to wear metal around that character ever again. Because we now know that, oh man, is your belt buckle right above your dick? It's on fire now.
Ow.
What? Ow, that hurts. Yeah, I know. No one wants a big, burny piece of metal right over your crotch that you can't get off because you tied it up in this cool Viking belt system. You're like, I gotta undo the knots. No, this sucks. It's on fire now. What the fuck? I'm on fire. My balls are burning. And we're like, yeah.
You should be able to use that to cut through the rope. Rope only has like 2 or 3 hit points, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, this was the fun shit that he did. and he ended up being the villain of the campaign because he made himself the villain. Because whenever the party beat bad guys, they had this distinct, no, we're good guys. We don't kill. And he's like, greetings, bad guys who are now been defeated by the party. What was your evil plan? Well, this is my evil plan. Well, now that you've been reformed and are becoming good guys, tell me how to do your evil plan. And so he was just weaving together all my bad guys' plans into one ultimate evil plan. And when all the evil villains were like, wait, all of our evil plans will come to fruition if we work through you? Yes. We are going to follow you. And so he was the ultimate shadow boss. Like, if there was a shadow cabal leader of my entire evil campaign, of that entire campaign, it was one player who merely asked, what was your plan? And then did it. That was it. That was it. He was just... Now, that's what happens when the fighter is tired of being the fighter and chooses to become the bad guy. And now, and for a long time,
That's epic.
My players feared druids because they now knew that druids could do this shit. And he's like, yeah, I know. Isn't it amazing? And yeah, his character just wanders around now. It's like whenever anybody builds a factory, they're like looking out for like a bird on a tree branch because it might turn into the art druid who will just be like, I'm sorry, I hate your factory. Blam.
Birds aren't real, man. Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. They're druids. they're creation by the druid orders to kill us all. Yeah.
Oh, Kai.
Yeah.
I sent you a message on Discord. It's a link to a document I made for a rat I painted up, actually sculpted and painted for Bruce because it was missing a torso for his Skaven. And I don't know if Bruce will ever use it, but I got inspired.
That's cool. A little overpowered, but cool. I like it. But he's cool. I like him.
Circle back on that whole wrestling motif that we're using for role playing. Like type of player that after a couple of years they get used to and finessing the game for their player, that they know the ins and outs, and then they become like the Captain Lou Albano and start forming the minds of newer players, running their own games and whatnot. That's pretty damn cool.
It is. Like I said, that was a player who knew how to. When he decided to turn heel, he did it in a way that made everyone go, "Fuck!" Like they always knew that he was kind of an asshole, but they didn't realize how much of an asshole he really was, or could be. And he was tired of playing nice, is what it was. So he stopped playing nice one day. And I thought it was amazing because I'm used to people not playing nice. I used to in days past run much more brutal games than what most people are used to playing. I mean, when I say I ran and played Elysium, which is high level vampire. You don't get to play high level vampire by being nice. You play high level vampire by being a dick. And the games that I played I played in and ran a lot of high level games. So when I'm thinking about what a game engine should do, I don't give a I won't lie. I don't give a shit about, in D&D terms, level 1 to level 8. I don't. That's where most people say that's where the game is at its best.
Boy, I disagree.
I know. But They go, that's where the game's at its best because, well, at level set, at like suddenly at 7, ooh, the high level spells start coming into play, and suddenly the balance is off in the game. I go, no, 7, I 7 and on up, it's where the game gets interesting. Yeah, the challenges have now become different, but since that's where most of my games live at, is between 7 to 15, that's where I care about. And I've had numerous games go further. So, and because of the fact that I do run generational games where, yeah, the main story has ended for your character. You have no more goals on your horizon. You if everybody's goals are work on a business, work on, say, if there's plot hooks undone, unfulfilled, but the whole party goes, nah, we're all just kind of gonna sit around and do nothing. I will reset and bring new characters in and say, hey, your old characters aren't retired. They're not gone. They're still in the world. They're still doing shit, but they're doing their own shit. And the players and the new characters are playing. So it suddenly adds. It's not a new campaign. It's a second campaign running parallel. And the one thing that my players always learned at that point was to ask the question of, hey, do I notice what the other group is doing? Does my character notice? And I'm like, how close is your character paying attention to the news? And don't say, very, very importantly, like, no. I know how much you pay attention in the previous campaign. No, you don't know what's going on here. Or, hey, one player, you know what's going on. What are you doing about it? He's like, absolutely fucking nothing. I've got bigger fish to fry. And suddenly it's now new group gets to have adventures while group 1 is dilly-dallying and enjoying their life. But at some point, the threat is going to become big enough that I get to go, hey, group 1's characters get to finally figure out what's going on, and they don't know what's going on. Now you get to go brief your other characters on what happened, and thus characters do proceed up the levels, and eventually people die of old age. And I've had multiple characters where it's like, yeah, you can go talk to this character. He's in his 70s now. Oh, so he's not in good shape. He's nowhere near the shape of when you wish you had him 40 years ago. When he was the hero of all time 40 years ago. Now you got an old man, osteoporosis, who's sitting here shriveled up, and he goes, I can still kick your ass. And you're like, nah, you can't, old man. And I'm like, ah. And it's like, that was the thing. Like, I had one character who purposely played a goblin because he wanted to know that his character will die. So when we did a time jump, he knew his character wouldn't make it because he wanted to have closure. He didn't want his character to get old. He wanted to do everything in a burst of fire and then die because he got to see what other characters who were these vibrant heroes who were now decrepit old men going, back in my day, I was a complete total badass, but nah, not. He's like, no. I'm going to be dead. I want my character to die young. I'm like, you'll hit old age faster. I'm a goblin. I don't care. And I'm like, fair. All right. Good choice. You gave me a good reason why you want to play a goblin. He wanted to be motivated to keep pushing forward because he knew he only had 30 years. So he had to go. He had to push. There was no, we can wait this out. No, he was going to do as much as he could, as fast as he could, in as short amount of time as possible, cut corners, be great, and then burn out young, and then flare out. And I'm like, okay, you got this. And he did it. He played that character, and I love that. I love that he took the idea of mortality and ran with it. Especially in a game where I had players who were going, no, I plan my character being around for 1,000 years. And so I'm going to play elf so I could be around for 1,000 years. And I'm like, you just know that I ran this world for over 1,000. He goes, yeah, and that player gave me the idea of the fact that I could have an elf die of old age is terrifying, and I love it. I want to play that guy. I'm like, I understand. And that was a cool mentality. But also, with back to the wrestling idea, I concept, there's a term that we also don't really, I use that often, but it's great. It's the whole, the jobber. The person whose job is to sell how awesome the other guy is. But the problem here is that the good jobbers make sure you never know they're jobbing. And the bad ones ruin it by being obvious. The fuckers who fall down, when you hit them once and they just go, oh God, I fell over, I'm beaten, pin me. Those people suck. And they're no fun. And that's the one thing as a player, I hate it when it's obvious that I'm supposed to win. I don't want it. I don't want an obvious sell. I know as a GM, you're trying to sell this as a threat, or this is supposed to be something. Don't make it obvious that this is fucking nothing. If this is just a job that I'm supposed to just go through, hit these guys, click the box. You are obviously the undercard. You are obviously nobody who matters. Step aside because you're not important. Now, if as a GM you can make that guy feel that encounter feel like it still has some weight behind it, well, now I'm engaged. Now the player is engaged. They're like, oh shoot, these bandits are actually interesting. You sold it. You sold it. They did the job. They jobbed for them. They fell over, and you're able to go on with the game, and the players feel engaged. The problem is that if you don't sell it well, if all it is they're just here to be fucking killed, just slaughter them. Like we're just gonna hand wave it and say you murdered everyone after like 4 or 5 of them. Are you gonna feel engaged as a player? No, you're not. You're just gonna be like, what is this? Or at least that's me, and I carry over that idea that I want to be better. Like if it annoys me, I'm going to make sure I don't do it to other people. And so therefore, I want to make sure that it isn't obvious that you're just going to just dominate, and that the encounter has to feel like it's advancing something forward. It isn't just simply you clicking a little badge and saying to yourself, okay, I got my 2 cheap encounters of the day before I can throw the good encounter out at someone. Or these guys are only here to expend resources. Bullshit. Because that leads to the 5-minute work day, which nobody likes. And what was that?
I had a cough.
Okay. And it leads to an inferior game experience. I mean, if the players realize that this is just a mechanical thing that they're just doing, you get the situation where you get me who fills out a flow chart because I know I can't be there that day. And I hand it over to a certain GM and say, here's my character. follow it, and it works. That if the game is reduced to the point where that the jobbing is that obvious, the what we're doing is that obvious that somebody can just mechanically do it, that's not a good experience. And
of
yeah,
the whole wrestling
yes,
experience.
and it ruins that, and it ruins the immersion. And honestly, as a GM, I want to be the promoter. I want you to come back and play. I want you to be excited to come back to play. It isn't just simply 4 more fights we get a level. I want you to come back and see where we're going to go next. And that's what this ultimately is about. This is why I put story above mechanics, and why I want mechanics to back up the story, not the story to be. I want a story to be backed up by mechanics, not just simply story despite mechanics, or story is emergent because mechanics force it to happen. I want it to be the other way around. I want you to be coming back and thinking about how you could use this to make it more interesting rather than the other way around. And that's my mentality. I'm sorry.
Never apologize for that. That's a noble goal for a GM. It really is. It's hard to explain to people that have never sat at the table and had a group of 6 or 8 people sitting there with you, chomping on popcorn and Doritos, and basically telling you, "Fucking entertain me, pay pig. You bought all these books, you got all these miniatures, you have all these dice." But I'm still here thinking that like I could go sit on my phone and play Clash of Clans or something that would entertain me infinitely more than having to role play with your stupid shitty accents, and then your players, which don't inspire me to role play because they're so concerned about this world that I'm not sold on, you know. And you've got to kind of turn everybody at the table to where they're willing to suspend disbelief and enter this character's mindset that they've rolled up. And that's your entire goal as a GM is to sell that. You're supposed to sell this narrative, this world that is very possible in the dark recesses of your mind. You know, you're supposed to do that. That's your gig. You know, you are the manager of the table, and having players that are willing to buy into it with you is what everybody should be focused on when they sit down. Not really, you know, a whole lot of other things. I'm not trying to say that, you know, the other things in life don't get in the way. We all know, like after 3 to 4 years, like life comes calling, like, "Hey, we can't all sit here together anymore." That just happens, you know. Unless we're all going to retire at the same old folks' home and we have infinite fucking medical fucking care, which ain't going to happen. But anyway, you want the players to buy into the world, and you want them to find something that they can focus on and like, this is what my character is going to excel at. Don't have a table full of like half-assers, like, "Oh, I'm part this and I'm part that," and no, make it to where like the players have an idea of, you know, I might never be the best wizard in the world, but I am going to be one of the summoners that people talk about. I am going to be one of the evokers that's going to have like spells with my name on them. And you want the
God,
players
yeah.
to have goals like that. You know, like, "Hey, I'm not the quote unquote best fighter in the world, but if you fucking throw me in a fight that's a little unmatched, you should expect me to be a dirty fighter, or I will tire the other guy out because I will fucking make him chase me all around the arena until he's in like fatigue factor 3, where he's like at a -6 to strength and -4 to dex, and he's got no ability to pursue me at a great length. And then after that, then I'm going to just start going for the cheap shots, because you kind of set this up where I'm fighting Andre the Giant and I'm a halfling, and that should be their goal. They have to be given something to bite on.
Yeah.
And if they don't, as a GM, you're just kind of giving them just crappy challenges with no flowered narrative around to where they should want to pursue it. Instead, they're like, well, yeah, I just have to roll above a 14 on my D20 and I succeed. I just got to roll a fucking 12 or better, and I got this. Go ahead, Kai.
The other thing about that is that about the whole selling this thing and about all this is that because players have the free will to say no, you need to be able to latch them in to want to go into the world's worst places without having to have a threat against them. Players should have the free will to be able to say no, to turn around, to leave, to go away. Because like getting you into the ring with Andre the Giant or Stone Cold or anybody like that, anybody, you should like ambushing you with that shouldn't be what happens. It should be one of those you're about to walk into. This is a big, horrible thing. You may not know it's Andre in there, but you should know ahead of time you're about to go into this, and you should have the option to turn around. If you give them a bad story, a bad lead up, no hook, why do they go? Well, at that point, the only thing that you got to push them into the ring is a firing squad saying you go in there or you die. Well, that's not a very good option.
No.
Or you go in there, or nebulous bad thing that will end the campaign will happen, and the game's over. Well, so everyone dies. So you're going to be the option of do the story or death. Or some horrible thing that's looming over your head that you have to do it. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't sell a story that has that as an option, where that is, but you have to make it so that way the players are engaged by the life and death. Here's a timer. Do the thing story. But it has to be worth it to get there. And a lot of us don't learn enough to hook us hard enough to make us want to do it. I know that a lot of us have done adventure paths, adventure modules, the mini campaigns that go from 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 30. These monstrosities. I will forever hold up Kingmaker, Pathfinders, Paizo's, not their most famous, but for me, the one I actually read because it had kingdom building in it, where the first 2 books are all about build a kingdom, found a kingdom, build a kingdom. The last 2 books are, what the fuck is this shit? Because it diverged so badly. Where book 4 is, welcome to the fairy realm, go fight a fairy queen, save your kingdom. Do I get my armies?
No.
No.
No, you don't have any of your resources.
You have nothing. You have whatever you bought with. You had spent more than half the campaign pacifying and developing this entire region, fighting off kingdoms, to be sucked into a fairy realm. It has, now mind you, the divergence in 3 isn't quite so bad yet. But by the end of book 3, into book 4, what the fuck is this? We're now in a fairy realm. My kingdom's not here. I'm fighting for a kingdom that I have nothing I can get out of it. What the fuck was this book? What was the fuck was this book series? I find it to be a horrible adventure path system. And conversely, I've seen similar adventure paths or adventure modules or campaign box sets that are a similar vein. They start you in one thing and then hit you upside the head and change it to the point where you've got no reason to continue playing that. Why am I still here? Traveler, it's the Ancients books. It's like you're playing Traveler, now you're on a mystery. What the fuck is all this shit? Now we're in something weird, and this is 3 books that are very poorly written. It's the Ancients books. Congratulations. A GM goes, I'm gonna run that one. Just walk away. You're not playing Traveler anymore. I've seen similar modules playing BattleTech or in Star Wars. Star Wars is terrible. All you gotta do is look. Is it the Far Space books or the it's the one where you're taking the Corvette out into the out into space out back, where you're jumping through through a giant nebula on the edge of explored space, and it's the most worthless book module you ever.
Are you talking about Other Space?
No, the Outrider campaign or something like that. It's the
Outrider, or it's not a Tramp Freighter campaign, but it was inspired by that, and I want to say Dark Strider. Is it?
Yeah, Dark Strider campaign.
Yeah,
it's the K something Rift books,
yes.
And by God, it's so terrible. By the end of it, you're just like, I'm done. I don't want to be. This isn't Star Wars anymore.
No,
this is
it went totally against everything Star Wars stood for. And when we were talking about like selling it, like when people sit down and play Star Wars, they want to be given like a larger than life space opera. They want to be given something that like, hey, I might not be Luke Skywalker or Han Solo, but I could be Platt O'Keefe's buddy, or I could be somebody that has their own ship or smuggler, and I could have a heart of gold, and I could actually like be somebody who means something within this wide universe. You know, the people at the space station, they know me. The people on this planet, they know that I will be reliable to bring them protein bars and keep their kids, you know, healthy. If I can just keep this line of credit open and I can move about freely to get these things, I can do that. But at the end of the fucking Dark Strider campaign, or actually towards the middle of it, it really opened up into like almost a political fucking game, where it wasn't really a political game. It was just the author having a fucking stroke fest, talking about how warfare is evil, and everywhere you went, it was fucking. Not only do you have structural damage and large craters everywhere that civilization used to be, but now you have an entire civilizations that have been vaporized with neutron bombs or chemical weapons, and it was no longer Star Wars. It was something completely bastardized, and I don't even know what game would attempt to go into such fuckery, but it was complete fuckery, because you were sold on Star Wars. You were told we're playing Star Wars, but now we're playing a game where we're worried about, you know, ethics and you know, allegiances to people that really are fucking evil. And Star Wars isn't about making friends with evil. Star Wars is, we get in, we do what we can, we destabilize the bad guys, we distract them long enough to get away, we come back with, you know, our friends in a Nebulon B frigate, maybe a stolen Victory class Star Destroyer, and we try our best, but we aren't monsters. And that's the problem that entire campaign was. You were fucking monsters.
Yeah. The bad part, and another part of that was even when they released the Imperial the
Imperial source book to run a campaign.
Yeah, it was a character book that gave you a lot of Imperial templates to actually play templates.
Yeah, you could play as a stormtrooper. You could play as an Imperial fleet captain. It was,
and the thing was that opens you up for all the fun RP choices of what do you do when you're in the face of tyranny if you're part of the machine, and you were still bound by the same rules that everybody else was.
How you doing, sir?
And everybody else is or was. So therefore, how much evil can you tolerate before you jump ship? Did you do it before or do it after?
Yeah. And I'm not trying to dog on West End game Star Wars. It's easily my favorite version of Star Wars franchise brought to the tabletop. But I don't know who really thought up those campaign ideas would be fun at a table, because they had, not only role play your own character, which you were around a bunch of tyranny-addled pieces of shit. But you also had some troop play where you got a little index card with another character on it. Sometimes they had dark side points, and you had to role play as this character to further a story because there's little snippets, little portions of the campaign where you had to play as another group of people, furthering their agenda and making the bad guys worse. Because now we've got the bad guys with resources, but we gave the control of these bad guys to the player characters. And I get the idea for it, where you're supposed to have tremendous enemies that you eventually triumph over, and you've done a great service for your friends and for the people that matter around you, and just for innocent lives. But then you have like tables where sometimes it was more fun to play as the Imperials, or more fun to play as Prince Zizor's men. You know, I didn't find a lot of fun in that. I know this might be a boring session for some, but the entire focus of tonight's little show is to really exemplify why we would want to stay at a table. And if you're making players have horrible decisions like we're trying to figure out how to run the Vietnam War but do it in a moral way, you're not going to have players sitting in the seats.
Unless you have a very specific kind of a very specific group of players.
Yeah, you have to farm for a specific type that would want to do that.
And for a while there, I did have
Players
those
at the table to begin with.
Yeah. For a while there, I had players who were the kind of people who'd go, how do we fight Vietnam ethically? But I don't have those players anymore. Now I have to go back to, hey, how can I make WWF interesting, but still have a storyline? How can I bring us back to late 80s, early 90s WWF rather than, hey, we're gonna play high concept. Well, high concept only works if you got high concept players, and I'm lucky right now. I have several different groups. I'm playing in 2 different groups, and right now I'm gearing up for running again. For if we're gonna do it again for the school. If not, I'm gonna have a day free. Hooray! And so I might be able to actually play again on a different night in person. That'd be nice. And that group of players and the group of players who might be open for that night are an eccentric group of people. I know them, but I know the story that I would run for them is not going to be the same story that I would run for the high concept players or the fun player. Like, there's different people, different attitudes, different stories. For the I have the group of players who I can do high concept with. We actually spend more time talking about the theory behind a faction or a character or a concept than we actually do role playing the characters. Because when we actually get into character and play the character, we've already worked out what the faction motivation is, what the personal motivation is. So that way, when the characters are actually talking, it feels like it's a legit actual conversation. Or it's like, this isn't just, we're not going to have to stop mid-conversation and have to go, hey, is this what my faction believes in? Is this what my group believes in? Is this what I know? We worked out a lot of that ahead of time. But that's more of a theater group.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, that's a theater group who we didn't all realize this when we first started talking to each other, but we were all GMs. We're all D&D GMs, and who played a lot of other games, but who can't find the other games that we play. Because life, the universe, and everything in real life prevents us from finding the real groups that we would all be playing in and why. But so we're all D&Ders because that's what everyone wants to play. So we're all Pathfinder, and 3/4 of us are all Pathfinder players. But the thing is, we all want more, we all want better, and then when we all figured out that we're all a bunch of GMs, we stopped acting like one GM and a bunch of players. We acted like a whole bunch of DMs who are now just conspiring against each other in the open, in public, and having a very, very it's a confusing, beautiful storytelling environment where none of us are right in the head because we're not. We're all old GMs, and we don't want to play basic shit because if we want to play basic shit, we go to our real groups and meet space, and we go have adventure time with people. But we don't want to have adventure time with meat space. We do that all the time. This is our chance to be GMs for other GMs, but nobody's sure who's in charge because we're a bunch of tired assholes who are finally able to go, wait, you'll take notes? Yes. You'll actually put thought into this? Yes. And you can run 40 NPCs at once? We all can. Oh, dear God. And it's turned into a storytelling nightmare. And it's beautiful. Once a week, it's a beautiful nightmare of nobody's sure what's going on, but it's a fun-ass game. And technically, it's supposedly D&D. Sorry, it's Pathfinder. But no one has a clue what characters whose are, because everybody's running 4 or 5 characters, and they're all running in their own little circles, and it's a nightmare. The only way this would all work is if you had 5 GMs sitting on a call. That's the only way this would work. But we don't care because it's the outlet to be creative in a way that nobody else would really ever get to. We wouldn't get anywhere else. Was that?
Sensations.
That can work is what holds it together.
Yeah. The moment we all stop believing it works is the moment that it falls apart. But right now,
you're running a campaign like a bunch of fucking orcs believing this fucking rattle trap will rumble across the dungeon or across the
works because one of us wrote the word engine on a rock and put it in the center of the engine compartment. Now it runs.
It's the engine. It makes it go fast. It's red. It goes faster than what should. Yes. I love it.
It only has 4 seats. It seats 5. I believe it seats 5. Okay.
But we still need gasoline.
No, it's electric.
It runs on the souls of the.
I'm making a joke about the fact that orcs do that, and yet in some cases their vehicles still need gasoline. Like, wait, you have a rock for the engine, but you're putting gas in, and yet the gas still burns.
Yes, it does.
Believe in War. War makes it all happen.
Does this work? We're gonna find out. But yes, this is that. I should really go tell that group what our new name would be, and I think most of them would laugh at it because they think, that's what we are. Is at that point, and I know that's an unconventional thing, but like I said, it's a sanctuary for a bunch of GMs who are burnt out, trying to play nice, trying to put bumpers in, and it's just a way of all of us to be able to go, no, we want to be dicks. We want to be grade A dicks, and we want to be grade A dicks that on a level that we can't get away with anyone else because we all look at every character as going, they're all NPCs, but they're all PCs. Everyone's equally important. And then you have me who pops in and goes, and everyone's expendable.
Every player's sacred. Every player's pure.
And then you have certain people who pop in and go, I take great pleasure in murdering all your characters. You know that, right? And they're like, yeah, we know you have great pleasure in murdering characters. I'm like, because I like pain and suffering, and they know I do. So therefore, they're like, but I like pain and suffering for the advancement of a plot. Make it interesting, make it painful. And they're like, we know you'll kill you'll kill people. I go, only if it serves a purpose. And they're like, yeah, making us cry is not a purpose. Yes, it is. And no, but it's a running gag that whenever it's my turn to run something, it's always like, why do you beat everyone up to near death? Why don't you just kill them? No, the, like my storytelling runs on your tears. I want you to cry. Scream more, please.
See,
Just kill me. No, I
from what you and
refuse.
from what you and Kai, from what you and Bruce talk about your stories, my always thought with the running gag would be Kai does not see players or NPCs; he sees resources.
I see people, and people are people. People die.
Yeah, people make it to where like these crazy concepts, are actually uh, given life. We have this the impetus, the moment that the idea is born, where we're going to role play our way through Gorka Morka, and we're going to
Yeah,
have fun at it. But then you have like a table full of drunken, uh, ketamine smoking players that have been around the industry for a while. They've seen all the art. They know all the GW look. They've read lore. There's guys that they spend hours on the internet searching for old short stories that were on old used groups for Warhammer 40K. That Games Workshop came along and shut down a forum because they were exchanging too many things, which GW could have sold in a magazine for 12.95. How dare you give that for free? But there's this impetus of this group where you have the guys that truly believe, like, I could give you 4 hours a week, we could do this. And all of a sudden, now you have a way to like share ideas, trade jokes at a table, roll dice, and do all the things that make this game fun, because you've gone and you've played this game for a while, and in your head some of these characters have lived and breathed, and they've told bad jokes, and they've hit pedestrians with their junky fucking cars with a gigantic boulder under the hood, under in the engine compartment, that's got INGUN, with a,
Yeah,
what is that, the underscore after the, between the I, or between the N and the G is an underscore, engine.
yeah.
And they have this belief that it could work because in the lore, Orc's belief makes things happen. Just hand him a fucking bolter with no ammunition, and he goes daka 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 daka, and shit flies out of it. Okay, and now you have these guys able to sit around a table and do theater time, but they're having fun. And within the confines of the game, this is a very fun, and this is a very viable way to make those moments you see in pictures and magazines and on the backs of game boxes come to life.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
might be the only time you truly get close to those higher concepts is by kind of eschewing the rules and letting the narrative literally take over through established lore. I know that sounds like a theater kid or drama kid's like ultimate wet dream. I'm playing a skirmish tabletop game where we don't roll dice, we don't have skirmishes, but instead we're going around the table with troop style play, trying to be these war boys, orc gang, marauding across some forsaken desert, pillaging rotten spacecraft that have been knocked to the ground in their Battlefleet Gothic battles above. And for a year, you might have the most wonderful 4 hours every Wednesday or Tuesday night playing this game that shouldn't ever happen by the established rule sets out there, but because of the gentleman's agreement or the conceptual agreement between the players at the table, everyone's fine with it. Everybody's completely fine with this. There's nobody that's really complaining. The only ones that would complain would be like, but you have to spend $135 on a deluxe box set with crappy cardboard cutouts and maybe 7 different miniatures inside and a rule book that's very pointless because there's a game master shield that has all the pertinent information on the 4 sides of it. But no, instead you guys made your own game. And you didn't quote unquote make your own game, but you had a concept, you belched it out between sips of PBR, and everybody just kind of nodded their heads like, sounds like fun, let's go. And
Right.
all of a sudden, it's rolling, and you're in 3 months or you're in 6 months.
The embodiment of the Neck Boys.
Yes.
And
And you don't even realize really how long you've been playing this game until somebody checks over the email logs and goes, "Guys, we've been doing this for over a year." And then you're like, "A year? You've been doing this for a year now?" Yeah. Shit.
So,
Yeah.
Have we solved a single plot line? No. Fuck yeah. Let's keep going.
there are tables that convene, there are gaming groups, there are membership annuals that people pay for because they want the level of fun that is possible with this. But they'll never find it because literally their heads are closed to the idea of a concept that's as outlandish as what we've just discovered in the last 10 minutes. And it's something that I'm pretty certain all 4 of us have done before. And you guys in the chat that have played games before, and you've maybe smoked a joint or two before you rolled your Dragonlance campaign, your old Greyhawk campaign. I'm sure you guys have had moments where you wanted to do that at the table, but maybe you didn't go far enough and then keep running with it, but you should have. You guys do things like that. You do things like that. You fucking bend the rules hard enough, and you get that agreement between everybody. This is fine. Yeah, let's keep going. The next thing you know, you might have 10 years at a table that's splintered off to 2 or 3 separate different groups because people move or they take a crazy fun concept to a new location, a new game store, a new side of the country, or new fucking naval base on the other side of the world, and they just kind of run with it, and they just need somebody, 4 or 5 somebodies to be like in agreement. Yeah, let's do this. I want to have fun. God damn it. What happened to that? I mean, I'm not trying to say that I've wasted a lot of my time in my 40 years at tables, but there's been a lot of times I pursued rules rather than fun. And not that rules are bad, rules are great. They just kind of give you an arbitration line of where you need to look at, do I succeed or fail? That's all you need the rules for.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, you probably should be more going for the character, for the narrative, and just for the laughs, because this shit doesn't last forever. Everything we got going on around us, we had every reminder this week that we're getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I meant by Kyle views all that as players and characters as resources is what I usually hear. Not actually what I usually hear. Some of the stories I hear is like Kai mentioning the numbers of how many NPCs there are around. Like, yeah, we could take that on. Like, not necessarily like bad guys, but like tasks. And I forgot what the story was, but it was basically like the barbarian goes there, the halfling goes there, the thief goes over there, and such goes over there. Wham, 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 wham. Okay, we're done. I forgot exactly what that story was, but it was like it. It was more. It was partially a joke to the way that Kai seems to be able to just. I like to think that Kai and I have a very similar mindset, and in some ways we do. But Kai has the ability to look at a situation and go, "Here's 5,000 ways to win, and here's the most optimal one."
David, that everybody can get on that wavelength. It literally just takes the leap. Seriously, like all you've got to do is just like here's how the rules are set up. Here's how the narrative is set up. Here's how all of this could come together in a not abbreviated but more accentuated format. Or we could do it rules as written. It'll take us about 35 to 50 more rolls at the table and another 2.5 hours, which you don't have anything going on, but Brad has 2 kids at home. And if he gets home at 3 in the morning, he's going to have a hard time getting up for his job and getting his kids on the bus. Not that, we're not wanting to spend time with each other and do this, but we would like to be able to have a fun resolution to some of these games sometimes. And if literally all it is it's like, okay, well, I deploy my troops or I deploy my forces, I get my guys on the table, I measure out, okay, this is where they go, and now it's time for resolution for the die rolls. See which ones hit and which ones hit. Do they penetrate or do they deflect off, or are they just absorbed by the armor? And that would be it. It would be a simple roll, but the important thing is like the level of fun. Try to keep that fun momentum going. And so the way you would kind of do that, you're going to stay in character harder. You're going to maybe you have to get some of those god awful vampire teeth that don't let your mouth shut properly, but I use those. So like whenever I need to have a certain accent or a horribly accentuated verbiage pile out of my mouth, I use something like that, and it works like a charm. It's great. Let's do a stupid $3, $5 vampire teeth at the Halloween Spirit Halloween stores. Perfect, and you can get away with that. And the thing is, you go into a game store wanting to do skirmish games or your Gorka Morka RP or your cheesy ass first edition AD&D with THACO. You go into a game store like that, and some people are going to like, what the fuck's that for? And other people that are in the know, like they're in your game or they know about your game, they know about your style of play. They're like, oh, we're ready to play. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Guys, time's burning. I want to sit down. I want to get in character. Let's go. And all of a sudden, Bob at the other end of the table is like, all right, guys, today we have to get these Corona lights from Louisiana all the way into Mississippi. Now we've got 17 boys on the bikes, and we've got the ability to maybe use a couple of these heavy bolters to make sure the bears don't get too close to our convoy trucks. Bah! Go ahead, Kai.
That was almost the objective for a lot of our Starfleet Battles games when I was growing up. There was the Battle for the Beer Planet that happened almost every scenario because there would always be a terrain piece, which is a planet, and it would have a beer keg on it. Because someone had a miniature, an epoxy, resin beer keg, and we put it there and go, that's what we're fighting over. And everyone's like, because somebody made a mistake. I'm going, why are we fighting? And then one person went, beer planet. We're fighting for beer planet. And then when we all got to play 40K, why are we fighting? The beer keg came out, got on the table. Beer. And suddenly it became, all right, we're fighting over the beer keg.
Whenever the beer keg is on the planet, that's
what we're going for.
Breeding season for everyone. So we all want the beer.
I know. Imperial Guard, they're there for the beer. Orcs, they're there for the beer. Marines, they're there for the beer. It doesn't fucking matter. Everyone's there for the beer keg. And that was the objective. It didn't matter what we were playing. If it had miniatures, the beer keg went on the battlefield, and that's what we're here for. And we needed no other explanation. If we had
they were
to
so good, the Necrons wanted it.
Yeah. And if we wanted to play a big convoy, guard the convoy across the battlefield, guess what? Beer kegs on a cart. We're guarded / trying to get the keg. That was BattleTech. That keg had a lot of use. That miniature had a lot of use in a lot of games because we didn't need much more to have fun because we were here to play a game. yeah, I might have been the asshole who would go, hey, we need to get an objective. And then someone goes, that's right, where's the keg? And the keg comes out. And I'm like, objective, like, now that I know there's an objective, I'm here. You sold it. You sold it to me. My bar of entry has been met. I'm here to play. And I mean, because without that, my brain would go, why am I here? What am I doing? There's a keg of beer out there. Well, fuck it, we're here. That's it. And that's all we're trying to tell our players is that we're selling them whatever it is the thing that they want. That's what you want. And it's better if the players are the ones who declare they want
the MacGuffin of the story.
Yeah. If the players are the ones who go, you know what sounds really good? What? A pretzel. I had a group of players who just recently, now a couple years back, who their entire thing was they wanted pretzels. You know, these are high schoolers. They didn't know. I didn't understand the adult attraction to beer yet, or as well. So they're like, we're pretzels. And it turned into a multiple session campaign to secure everything because they wanted a certain way. And it was a fun track, fighting the locals, negotiating their shit, fighting more people because they were aggressive negotiators. Good way of putting it. Aggressive negotiators. And if someone goes, but there's already a cartel, and suddenly I now had a plot line. It was a joke plot line, like Bruce's entire Gorka Morka thing. It suddenly became no. We're now at a war with a rival baking industry, and we're going to attack their supply lines. I'm like, guys, there's a plot line over here. They're like, no. We need to secure cinnamon sugar and frostings and all the ingredients we need, and they're being held by a cartel. That's not us. And now we're going to fight cartel. We're going to create our own cartel to fight their cartel, and we're going to fight a multi-front baking war against this other cartel to make the best donuts. Sorry, other ones had donuts. They had pretzels, and they wanted to have pretzels have dominance over donuts. And there's a war that they created, a shadow war between two corporations. I didn't have a plan for this, but I slowly went, no. Dunkin' Donuts says fuck you to your pretzel plan, and we're gonna have a war over this. And one player was like, this is dumb, and everybody else went, this is the greatest goddamn plan in the entire universe. This is the plot we're gonna go with. We're doing this. And they're like pushing all their chips in on this. Like, no, all in. We're going for this. And I'm like,
Work in Cyberpunk.
Right?
This is Snyder's or something.
Yeah. But watching my players organically just go, push all our chips in and go, we're in. We're doing this. And even the one player who said this was a bad idea was like, well, it's a bad ideas are the best ideas if you jump in feet first. And they were in. And suddenly I could push all of my plotting, all of my intricate planning, all my bigger plots went right to the side. I had one player who's like, while they're all doing all this dumb plot line, a baking war between companies, I'm going to watch the main plot, and the main plot gets close. I'm like, yeah, don't worry. When the main plot comes close, I'll end this. But no. This is way more interesting. And it was like 2.5 months of play, of actual session-on-session play before the pretzel war came to a equilibrium, where there was now like, where the plot can go where the players are going, we are now secure enough that we don't have to be hands-on day after day. Now we can go out and, I don't know, do something else with our time. And at that point, I went with, by the way, boom, something else to do with your time. Oh shit, we forgot all about that. Yes, you did. But now you have a chain of 35 donut shops that are now providing you free donut shops. And when it goes, pretzel shops with coffee, you're right, pretzel shops with coffee. And but who are now providing you a small but sustainable income of cash. And they're going, you're right. Now we can go fight the bad guy because we got some donut money behind us. Like, this is some, like, and looking back at this is some serious, like, fat electrician shit happening here.
I was about ready to bring in the Lorraine Colette, the Sun-Made girl,
Yes.
Sun-Made Raisins.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the raisin cartel that you guys might or might
The
not know
Raisin
about.
Cartel.
The fucking raisin cartel that ruined fucking grape growers for decades. And finally, one man stood up to it in, what was it,
Except for
2006?
one
He's
dude.
like, I'm tired of you taking my damn raisins for 40% of the value and not compensating me on anything unless you felt like it. God, that is so badass.
Yeah.
Listen,
The thing is, the more I watch stuff like like the Fat Electrician's Fat Files, where he's just describing stores and companies and other heroes from his normal episodes, the more I realize players don't do enough. They're not crazy enough. Or maybe I've been lucky and I do have a string of people who would be Fat Electricians worthy characters. That should be the goal. What goal? What should you be aiming for? To be worthy of one of his videos.
yeah, do shit that's crazy. Do shit that's fun. In the end, you want Sabaton to have a song about you,
Yes.
and you want to you want to like
Yeah.
you want to be able to look back at these times because they're not going to last forever. That at some point you have to grow away and do other things in life, but you want to be able to reflect on these times at the table and be able to just laugh about shit and tell other guys like things that happen with you at your table, and whether quote unquote you embellish or not, like the other people around you that are sharing in these fun stories that probably happened at your table, you want to be able to let them be inspired by the fun things that were able to happen in front of you and your friends for maybe 4 or 6 or 8 hours at a time. There's really no better hobby than this. Storytelling is something that humans have done since the dawn of time, since we gathered around campfires, around since we discovered fire, and this is something that we really excel at. The tales of telling lore is a niche market, but I think with time, I think anybody here, anybody watching, could be inspired well enough to have something happen that'd be worth repeating. That would be worth putting as lore for their own setup.
Yeah, I have a kind of a similar story, but unfortunately, I didn't think about the whole cartel thing. I kind of wish I had. But one of
You
my
haven't lived long
characters,
enough.
when I was doing a lot of mini campaigns, like anywhere between 4 and 6, sometimes leading into 10, but usually between 4 and 6 sessions. One of the players found out that my world, in my case, was held with the dwarves, and but there was no fireworks. He actually had some real world knowledge about how fireworks work, so he asked if he could make fireworks in the game. I figured, why not? The entire game went from a campaign of not saving the world but saving a kingdom to how big an empire can we build just on fireworks?
Right.
Sounds like fun.
Heck, I loved one of my player groups.
Another modern example. Go ahead.
No. Do yours, I'll do mine.
You have a modern
okay.
example. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, like a modern. A modern example. The AI generated ones that have permeated YouTube. Like we've had of shit Star Wars. And now you got cutting edge AI technology, and they're just making these goofy ass stormtrooper vlogs, kind of basing it partly on lore and mostly, but it's catching people's attention a lot more than the first continuation trilogy or this last bench of that major shows have been producing. And you watch these videos, and it's just the same two guys or four guys on the and they're just doing a day in the life of
Did
I
you
think
fade?
cut out.
Come back there, Six Nations. Okay, he was talking about the stormtrooper vlogs, which
They're
you there,
fun.
Six Nations. He might fade. He's had a good run, almost 2 full hours of solid connection, and when he's trying to get this out, that's when the connection fails. Is that not how it always works?
Always.
Yeah.
Um,
But I was going to follow up with just simply, I had 3 players who decided to start a side business in a game: a rogue, a barbarian, and a druid. Their entire thing was to go to villains' homes and pick the lock or knock the door down. And the druid was just there to grow the wood. And if they knocked your door down or picked your lock, they would go in and talk to you about how inferior your door is. And that was they were door-to-door salesmen. That was their sales pitch. And
I love it.
that was their entire thing. They would literally walk up and just go, "Is it the front gate?" "Yes." I try to pick the lock. "It's locked." "Barbarian." I knock it down. And if the door fails, well, they now go in and go, "Greetings, we're here to sell you a new door." And
Not just a new door, a better door.
a better door. We'll build you a better door. And the rest of the party was just like, is this going to actually work? And I'm like going, yes, it would actually work for most of the civilized villains. The uncivilized villains are why the rest of you are here, right? Yeah. Okay. And it was a great way for them to introduce themselves to major bad guys who weren't bad guys yet. To walk into a guy who's way more powerful than you way too early is to literally just walk in and introduce themselves and say, we're here to check your doors. And if the guards will let them, or they'll come in later and do it. But it was a great concept. And I loved it because the druid was able to shape wood. So he'd carry a block and he would shape the wood, the display model in his hand to show you what kind of door do you want, what kind of, get a rough idea of what it will look like. So they can take it back to the blacksmith. And of course, the party's going to make you a new door, but they're going to put but because I had that group of players, I had a Terry Pratchett fan in the group. So I had a player who understood who Vetinari was, who understood the idea of you never make a prison that you don't want to stay in. And so therefore, they would make the door. It'd be a fantastic door. and they would have the key to walk into it later. Click, click, and then they can walk in. And I'm sitting here going, and the bad guy's going to pay you for this? Yeah. Because that's what the rogue is there for. Pick locks and then convince you that you want to buy the door. And because there's no paladin in sight, they're going to believe it. The paladin's sitting here going, well, as long as we're going to give half the money that we're going to get the bad guy to the church, it's okay. And it was a good group. It was a hilarious group because the thing was, it started as because the barbarian was higher strength that all he wanted to do was carry a door on his back. It started as a table, but it became a door, and then he was like, well, it started out as a joke originally, as he'd kick a door in and go, "I'm here to sell you a new door," and then the rogue was like, "That's not a bad idea," and it grew into a plot line. They were door salesmen, and it was the dumbest plan that I've ever heard from a player, but it was a great one because they came up with it on their own, and it let them meet so many people who were way over their power level. Because they would just go around like, "Who's got money in this town? We're gonna visit them all. Kick doors in, bam. All right, we're here to sell you new doors." Fuck yeah. Also, it's 11:30. We've been on for 2 hours, and my voice is going.
Yeah, I hear that, and it's kind of sad because I was wanting you to be able to last a little longer, but I understand. Like, yep, we can't really sustain this. I'm going to wrap this up, and as we get out of here, I'm going to share something that Six Nations hinted on. And if YouTube gets all butthurt, well, YouTube gets all butthurt.
You okay?
I think so.
Oh no, it's trying to take my bike. Hey, you okay?
I think so.
Oh no, it's trying to take my bike. Hey.
Whoever you
One
are,
where they
Star
first
Wars.
come across the Ewoks, and the
Yeah.
Ewoks are fucking evil. Oh my god!
Fucking whoever's making those Star Wars vlogs, thank you so much for giving me something to laugh at. I didn't know I needed those. The aliens that are fighting the humans on Earth for the first time, complaining about how we keep biting them through armor and giving them tetanus. Thank you. My name's Bruce with Crafting Gamer, my friend Six Nations, 31 Kings, and with Kai from Kai's Musings. I want you all to do great shit, have fun. This life isn't that long. Be here for a fun time, and worry about being here for a long time, but accept the fact that it probably isn't going to work the way you want.